Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tapestry of Faith. God is still weaving, where we have real conversations about faith, life, and the in between seasons we don't always talk about. Today's conversation is a really special one. I am joined by someone who has been faithfully showing up, using her voice to encourage and impact so many lives. Rhonda Lacey from WCQR. Rhonda, I am so glad you're here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you for the faithfully part because you'll be glad to know that I am human and I sometimes argue with the Lord at 4:30 in the morning when
Mm.
my alarm goes off and like, are we still doing this? And he's like, yeah, we're still doing it. I'm like, okay, we're still doing this.
Well, through WCQR, but even through you, Rhonda, the outreach of the ministry, both through the radio station and through yourself, is so far reaching.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, it is. It's a wonderful opportunity because I think when it really hit me, my husband and I had gone to see a Christian comedian, and there were, probably about, 5,000 people there. And single stage, single performer, entertainer. And I was looking around and waiting for it to start, and I said, can you imagine like this many people come to hear you? And he said, you talk to probably 5 times this many people every day. And I
Yeah.
just never put it in that perspective, and it was kind of scary and humbling at the time
Hmm.
because obviously Adam, my co-host, and I, we do not get to physically see everyone we're talking to at home, in the
Right.
car, wherever they may be. And so it is just a great moment knowing that, wow, I can share the gospel with so many people at
Yeah.
one time through the power of technology and radio.
Yes, yes, love that. Well, thank you. Thank you for all that you do through the radio station and through and personally too, Rhonda. It does not go unnoticed. Before we dive in, I would love for you to share maybe just a little bit more about you,
Okay.
your heart,
Mhm.
what you do, WCQR, and what God has you walking in right now.
The whole story would take a long time, but we'll just go back to 2009. I did accept Christ when I was a teenager, but I didn't. I came from a divorced family and was not really in a Christian household. I mean, my family did believe in Jesus, but church was like, oh, we might go this day, we might go this day. So I didn't
Right.
have anyone to disciple me. And I let the world get a hold of me as a teenager and a 20 something, 30 something. And then in 2009, I went on a walk to Emmaus and really experienced Christ firsthand, through other people who were being the hands and feet of Jesus. And I had listened to WCQR very passively, more of a background. And it was right after that walk, and I was meeting with a group of ladies who were discipling me and mentoring me. And I got in my car and I had WCQR on, and a song was playing that the words at the moment, it was Jason Gray, I Am New. And the words, literally, I knew in that moment, that's God speaking to me. And I called my husband and I was crying, just bawling. And he, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I said, well, nothing's wrong. Can you find out what song this is? And he called the station. They told him, and I just knew there was a time that I walked into the station shortly after that. I'm like, I'm gonna be working there one day. I'd worked in media, I'd worked in broadcasting, more on the back side. But I'm like,
Hmm.
I have a feeling like God, I'm just gonna work there one day. And so 7 years later, Adam called and said, hey, I need a co-host. And I thought he was calling to ask me if I knew of someone.
Right.
Would you be interested? And I said, I've never been on the radio. And he said, well, I know you love to talk. I know you love Jesus. And I know some people who know you. And I think that we could do this. And it was God orchestrated. It really was. And it's amazing from that time up from 2009 to
Mm-hmm.
2016 when God was preparing me until it was the moment on the air. And then in the 10 years since then, even how he's changed me from that and changed me from hearing stories about how the radio is changing other people like it changed me, and
Yeah.
people having that right song at the right time,
Mm.
whether they needed praise, peace, comfort, encouragement, whatever it was. It's just a very, there's some days I take it for granted. And then every time that I do take it for granted, God's put somebody in my path that says, oh my goodness, I heard you say this, or I heard this song, or even if it was another show,
Yeah.
it's just being a part of something God is using to further his kingdom. And it's just,
Mhm.
it's incredible. It really, really is. And just all the listeners and supporters who make this a family. It's so different than anything I've ever been a part of before.
Wow. Well, what an incredible part you are in this ministry and even with your own story too, Rhonda. We've known each other for years and shared some things on the personal side. And, I think especially people like yourself, who's a radio host and people are listening to you every day. We see people and we meet people where they are.
Yeah.
We don't always get to understand their own tapestry, right?
Mhm.
All the different threads that are woven, the beautiful parts, the parts that are ugly, they don't make sense. And actually, I'd like to go back to something for just a moment. In your journey, has there been a season in your life where things didn't look like you expected? But God was still at work in ways you couldn't see at the time.
Oh, absolutely. I'll have to think of one because there's several. I mean, probably the most recent one is, my husband and I had both been married prior, so we married later in life,
Mhm,
and I think that was a huge adjustment. First coming together into one household and being older adults. I mean, in a way, it was a good thing because we're more mature, know what we want, and we were grounded in our faith, which we weren't in our
mhm.
previous marriages. But it sounds crazy, but everything within a 2 year window changed. All of our pets passed away across the Rainbow Bridge. And I know, which he has two sons. I have two stepsons, grown. So those were our children. They all passed. We moved twice in 14 months. Just some changes at work. And it's like when you don't feel solid in anything like your home, your work, and all those different places. Just a long-term friendship kind of disintegrated. And so it was like a loss. Even though I was
Yeah.
moving into a new home, it was like the loss of that home and all the memories there, the neighbors that I was really close to, which you know how it goes. We'll keep in touch. And even that 20
Oh,
to 30-minute
yes.
distance changes things.
Yeah.
Building the house and the stress of that and just it almost felt like starting all over again. And it feels weird. And I know that those are all good things. Like moving through life, you expect that. Um,
Mhm.
but it was such a weird time. And it was right after COVID too. And we lost some people that we knew that we were close to during COVID. And I think we all know the changes that occurred. And so all of that, I think since 2020, it's just been kind of bingo where they put all the numbers and they turn that little ball and they're all tumbling around. I'm like, here's your work life, here's your personal life, here's
Yeah.
this. And then just as a woman, I can say this too. Menopause hit me at that time too. So all
Mm,
the physical, emotional changes that come with that, it's kind of been like, ah, and just talking about the elephant in the room, with the political and cultural climate that has thrown in there with Christians. I mean, there's just like so much where you just kind of get up in the morning, you just kind of go and you hold your breath and you're afraid to look at your phone that something's happened overnight. So, I mean, that season, like not expecting it, like how it's supposed to go in
mhm,
your terms, because everything changed. We changed churches, we changed our address, we changed so many things. And I think just now things are starting to settle. And
mm.
my old self would have been like, I don't like this. I'm going to change it. And I would
Right.
just bulldoze through that and change it. And I think the spiritual maturity is like, okay, God's changing this for a reason. Just kind
Yeah.
of be still and see what he's doing. And I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm seeing glimpses, but I quite frankly, I don't know yet.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. You've brought something else to light here, Rhonda. One of the things even I've been asking myself a lot lately, because I think like how easy is it to ask, like, where is God in all of this, right? Whether it's this part of your tapestry, your journey, or maybe even another moment, like, have you ever felt moments like, okay, this makes no sense, and you really had to hold on to your faith anyway?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And I think everybody could say that at some point in time.
Hmm.
We want my bonus mom. She always says, and I never use stepmom because Disney ruined the word
Oh,
stepmother. they're all evil. Think about that. So,
Right.
but we say bonus mom. So my
I
bonus
love
mom
that.
said sometimes you just need a Jesus with skin, meaning like you just want
Mhm.
Jesus to drop down like and tell you, like to physically touch you and tell you. And I think that's where we come in as fellow believers because we're that
Yeah.
Jesus with skin. We've got to channel that. And yeah, I mean, there's and it sounds crazy, but there's a lot of mornings, 4:30 in the morning. There's not a lot of people up. It's dark. You're driving to work. And I think, especially just going back a couple of months this winter when it's cold and dark, you have that physical feeling of aloneness and kind
Hmm.
of going in and you're like, all right, God, I'm supposed to talk about you today, encourage people today, inspire people today. I'm not feeling it. I'm
Yeah.
not feeling it. But
Hmm.
every single time, it's like and I'm in the studio now, when I come into the studio, I do. I feel he's like, I got you. I
Oh,
got you. And it's really, really weird, Susan. But it seems like, especially the days when I don't want to be here. And I know people will say, you don't want to be there. You've got an awesome job. But there are days, for whatever reason, being tired, being weary, being spiritually depleted myself, that's when God
mhm.
shows up the most. And
Yeah.
so if anybody needs to be encouraged, like, where's God? Like, I don't feel him right now. And
Yeah.
I think saying that and surrendering and saying, God, I don't feel you. I need you to just show up. And he will. He does every single time. And if he didn't, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
There's so many pieces and parts you just shared, Rhonda, that I know I can relate to, that I know our listeners can relate to. You kind of hinted on this, but I think it's worth going back to for just a moment. Share with us just even one thing that you felt has really helped you stay anchored during times like that.
I mean, honestly, my job. I mean, I have a
Mhm.
devotional. I keep my Bible on my
Mhm.
desk. I have a devotional. And I'll be honest, some days it's 3 or 4 days before I pick it up.
Yep.
Um, but on like coming in here, I mean, that's the beauty of music. I can sit through a sermon, absorb every word, make notes, take it to heart. I hear one worship song and I dissolve into tears.
Yeah.
Music is so emotional for me, and
Agreed.
I think a lot of people, like
Yeah.
God's way of speaking. So times that I'm like, I don't feel like reading my Bible, Lord. I mean, you can be honest with him. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
one thing he knows. I mean, oh Lord, I don't feel like reading my Bible. I can't even concentrate, or
Mhm.
I haven't picked up my devotion book, or I left my devotion book at work and I'm at
Yeah.
home. Is one song. Oh
Yep.
man, just one song can bring me to that. And
Mm.
I think that that's a tool that I use even working here. And it's crazy. I can hear the song in the studio as I'm getting ready to go on the air. And I'm more concerned about when the song's ending and when I'm supposed to talk. But then I'll be in my car later, maybe the next morning. And that song will, how they say it hits different? That song
Yes.
will hit different. And I've come in here and I'm like, what's wrong? Because I've been crying. I'm like, I heard elevation worship. Yeah, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just, he knows, God knows where you are
Yeah.
in that moment. Because I mean, being on the radio does not mean I've got it all together and I'm here
Right.
to advise you and tell you how to be a better Christian and that. It's like I'm telling you because I've been through like the exact same things, or I'm going through the
Mhm.
exact same things. So I think we're all tired, and not just that I need a good 8 hours of sleep tired. I think we're all, to some extent, we are tired, like weary, tired of
Yes.
of the world and a lot of the cruelty of the world and a lot of the way that things are. And it's hard sometimes to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just
Mhm.
keep going, because you're like, I want to lay in my bed today and ignore the world and just ignore
Yeah.
everything. And we don't have that luxury, but also too, like, I mean, God doesn't want us to do that.
Right. Yeah. Those moments, I know exactly what you're talking about because when I'm in the car, I'm listening to WCQR as well. And it's like those moments that one song hits that you've heard how many times over, right?
Mhm,
But in that moment, it's like God's meeting you where you're at through song, through
mhm.
through a message in a song. And thank you, Rhonda, for sharing some of your own story, own experiences, even the more hard ones, the challenging ones. Um, Let me ask you this, like if you think about those experiences, like what would you say could start to shape or what do you think began to shape, if you will, what you believe about yourself? Like, have you seen in your own life, and again, in your own life, or maybe in the life of other women? Because, we do talk about it, experiences and those challenging experiences, but, you know, I do believe they do shape us in what we believe about ourselves. And I also, just really quickly, I love how you talked about just being honest with God.
Hmm.
He knows anyway, right?
Yep. Hmm. Yeah. And I think that's it because is sometimes I wouldn't pray because I'm like, I don't feel very reverent in the moment.
Hmm.
And I would
Hmm.
take most of my prayers are I call them popcorn prayers when I'm driving to work and
Yep.
I pretend that Jesus is sitting in the passenger seat and I just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then the second time is when I go to bed at night. And
Yeah.
the ceiling fan's right there, and I just, and even just last night, I talked to him and just like was overcome with emotion. And I say I had tears in my ears because if you're laying down, the tears run. I had to do this because I had tears in my ears. And I did. And I
Oh.
just said, I had a lot of anxiety. My husband has a lot of health issues.
Hmm.
And, he has come obstacle after obstacle, hurdle after hurdle. And, just last night having a discussion and I felt the worry and anxiety. And I was just like, all right, God, I give it to you. I give it to you. I give it
Hmm.
to you. And like, what does that look like and feel like to really surrender? Because so many times I'd say, all right, God, I'm giving it to you. And just like a little toddler that gives a parent a broken toy to fix and they grab it back,
Yes.
guilty. I do that. So I still do it. I haven't perfected it. But I
Hmm.
think like last night was a time that I could just be like, I'm giving it to you. And you really, once you do that, I slept like a baby last night.
Oh,
I did. And that's rare. For a
yeah.
menopausal woman, I'm just going to tell you, I did. I slept
Yeah.
like through the night, and it's
Yeah.
rare. And I do think it's because I didn't just say it as I meant it. And I think as women, and I hate the term control freak. We're not control freaks because that form of control, we are the nurturers. God created us that
Mhm.
way. We want to think, okay, is my spouse okay? Are my children okay? Are my grandchildren okay? Is this okay? And I feel like as women, a lot of times we can only relax if everybody in our sphere, in our circle is okay. And we're like, all right, everybody, we're just like mama hens, everybody's accounted for. Okay, I can rest. And if one of those little pieces or one of those people is not okay, we immediately like, how can I fix it? What can I do
Mhm.
better? What is this? And God's like, just hey, hey, I just feel him going, hey, little girl, I
Yeah.
got you. Like I got
Yeah.
this. That person,
Yeah.
I got them more than you ever can. And again, it's a
Mm.
faith and a trust we can't see or touch, but we have that faith. And the best way to do that is look at the track record.
Yeah.
My husband had a big, test coming up, a little bit of a health scare, and the song "Everything's Going to Be All Right" played. And what do we ever want to hear from anybody? Everything's going to be all right. We're like, okay, they must know something.
Yeah.
We hear that song and think of it differently and know that everything's going to be all right because God's in control, no matter what the outcome. And I remember
Mhm.
I got a post-it note because I leave for work before my husband gets up and he had that test that day. And I said, everything's going to be all right. And that's for
Mm.
my own peace of mind, but I stuck it right where he would see it
Yeah.
and went to work. And sure enough, praise God, those test results were
Mm.
negative, but I was telling myself, even if they're positive, everything's going to be all right.
Exactly.
And
That's such a great. If you're listening and you missed that, go back and capture that again.
it
Because what
is.
you just said, Ron, that's huge.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be all right. Does that mean that we may get the answer that we're hoping for? Right?
No. And in the same way, my cousin, he's older than me. His wife had been battling cancer for years. I mean, years and years and years. And when he told me that she was on hospice and she did pass away a few weeks ago, he just said he goes, you know what, Rhonda, everything's going to be all right. And he said that because he and his wife, strong believers. Now, is
Mhm.
everything going to be all right? Mean she's going to be healed this side of heaven? No, no.
Right.
But man, is she in heaven right now rejoicing? Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. And so even though he's carrying the sadness and the heaviness of not being there, with his wife, everything's going to be all right because she's all right now, and he's going to join her one day. And that's just something that,
Yeah.
you just want people who aren't believers, who don't have a relationship with Jesus to know that. And you want believers who are struggling with their faith to be reminded of that. And because everything
Yes.
that the world tells us is, oh, it's bad, it's bad, and unless everything's perfect, it's just bad. And and that's not
Yeah.
true. And
Right.
it's sitting with that. It's sitting in the yuck. It's sitting in the,
Hmm.
I don't like this. And I'll tell God that. That's part of my honesty. I said,
Yeah.
I don't, and I talk to him like a sassy woman. So I'm like, God, you know me. You created
Yeah.
me. I don't like this one little bit.
Right.
And just let him settle me because I sometimes I can't settle myself. I just have to scream and
Mm.
rant and rave and eat some chocolate or whatever it
I'm
is.
glad I'm not the only one, Rhonda.
And sometimes it is. It's just like, and I'll be honest too. Like I see a Christian counselor once a month. I do,
Uh-huh.
just to check myself, just to check my heart, but also just to let
Good.
all that out.
Yeah.
Because my job
Yeah.
obviously is to encourage and inspire other people, but sometimes I need that too. But I just need to like drop off all the junk
All the
and
junk.
just all the junk and get all that out and have somebody check me like because the last time I saw her she goes, how are you? And I looked at her and I smiled and I said, I am filled with rage. And she laughed because I said it like that, and it was just like
Yeah.
it was, but
Yeah.
99% of that was rage over stuff I couldn't control.
Right.
And she just said, just picture yourself picking all those things that you can't control, that you're mad about, and putting them in a big bag, and then literally walking to the cross and dropping the bag
Mm.
at the cross and say, all right, Jesus, fix it. Jesus, fix it. Yeah, or do away with it, or tell me how to deal with it, whatever it is. But she's like, just imagine physically doing that. And
Yeah.
she's like, you'd be so, but yeah. And so I've been doing that.
Oh,
Does that mean I still don't get mad? No, doesn't
nope.
mean that. But it helps me remind myself, like, I cannot control what's going on right now. I can't do it. I can just control how I respond to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've said that for years. It's kind of been my go-to, my mantra, right? Like we can't always control what happens.
Mhm.
I do know, albeit it can be very difficult and challenging, we can control how we respond to it.
Mhm. Yeah.
With that, Rhonda, if there is a woman listening now who feels like she's in a season that doesn't
Mhm.
make sense. Maybe she's just tired. You mentioned that earlier. Maybe she's questioning. What would you speak directly to her today?
I'll speak directly to her. God loves you more than you can ever imagine.
Mm,
You're not alone. Cry. Crying is the most natural response to weariness, to anxiety, to worry. God gave us that emotion to release those things. So cry and don't apologize for it because
mm,
your emotions are the truth. Don't ever apologize for the truth. So if you need to cry, whether in the privacy of your room or in front of people, cry. If
mm,
you need to talk to somebody, a friend,
mhm.
pastor, um, someone, I mean, a hotline if you need it, if your desperation is that bad,
Right.
there is no shame whatsoever,
Mm,
especially being of faith, thinking, well, I should not feel this way because I believe in God. That's not true. That is a lie from the enemy. So
mm,
ask for help if you need it.
mhm.
And just know that tiredness, that weariness, there's no one in the Bible that was exempt from that.
No,
So instead of the why me, why not me? And
love that.
know that God's going to get you through. You may not like where you are, but you're not going to stay there.
Right. Right. Wow. Let that land, listeners. Rhonda, this has been so meaningful. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your heart so openly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just don't ever think anybody, I don't care if they're on TV, radio, wherever, in the stratosphere, absolutely no one has it together and absolutely no one can do it. I mean, that's why Philippians 4:13 says you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And so just rely on him because everybody needs him. Everybody.
Amen. And what a beautiful scripture to anchor all of this in, Rhonda. Thank you. And
Thank
I know that your message, what we've shared here today, Rhonda, I know this is going to meet so many people right where they are. So again, thank you.
you.
Thank you for sharing your heart, your transparency, your vulnerability, and just being Rhonda. Thank
Well,
you.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you for
much.
having me.
And if this is something you're walking through right now, I'd love to stay connected with you. I do share more of these conversations on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course here on YouTube. That's where I'm showing up consistently and sharing more of this journey. You can look for me, Susan D. Crum. Come say hi. I'd truly love to hear from you. And if you ever feel led to reach out, my messages, they're always open.